Access to Democracy is made possible by donations from the following organizations. Thomson Reuters, a global company with expertise and insight to unravel complex situations in the areas of law, tax, compliance, government, and media. Their worldwide network of journalists and editors keep customers up to speed on relevant global events. Thomson Reuters, the Answer Company. The Division Championship Minnesota Twins are looking to go all the way to the World Series in 2024. Bolstered by inspirational shortstop Carlos Correa, a healthy Brian Buxton, and rookie phenom Royce Lewis, plus a pitching staff led by Pablo Lopez and an outstanding bullpen featuring Johan Duran, the Twins are the best bargain in the major leagues, and Target Field is the best venue in baseball. Sheridan Dulas & Kins, PA, a family and criminal defense law firm, has been serving clients in Dakota County and throughout Minnesota for over 40 years. Ranked a Tier 1 Best Law Firm by U.S. News and World Report every year since 2009, Sheridan Dulas & Kins are here to help you in your most difficult life circumstances. Established in 2007, 45th Parallel Spirits was among the first 50 micro-distilleries in the United States. Based in New Richmond, Wisconsin, all aspects of production occur at our facility. If you're interested in visiting and learning more about the 45th Parallel Distillery, please check our website and plan a visit to tour our facility and taste our spirits. Truestone Financial, with locations in Minnesota and Wisconsin, has proudly served its members since 1939. Truestone engages, educates, and supports its members to ensure they have the tools to empower their financial well-being. Truestone Financial, your neighborhood credit union. Learn more at truestone.org.
Welcome to Access to Democracy. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bill Raker, your host for this edition of the program. Today we're welcoming as our guest Brian Ryks, who's the Executive Director and CEO of the Metropolitan Airports Commission, or the MAC. And it's a delight to welcome Brian back. He's a repeat guest. I think this is at least the third time that you've been on our program here, almost on an annual basis, I think. But it's great to have you because you always come with interesting and informative stuff to tell us about the airport.
Well, thank you, Bill. Great to be here today again, and love to come and visit about what's going on at the airport. It's, as you know, it's a dynamic place. It's always changing. There's new things to talk about, and so it's my pleasure to be here.
Well, it's our delight. So for some of our viewers who've seen this before, it might be a little bit of a repeat, but I think we can use a refresh. So Brian, what's your role with the MAC? Go ahead.
So I'm the Executive Director and CEO. I've been in this role for, it'll be 9 years in April of 2025. I actually started my career at the MAC way back in the mid-'80s as an intern, and then after I graduated from college, came back and was able to land a part-time position, hoping that a full-time position would open. And I think about 3 or 4 months after I was part-time, a full-time position opened in the Noise Abatement Office, and I jumped at the chance to join the Metropolitan Airports Commission. And although I was only in that full-time job about 4 years, I left the MAC and went on to Denver to be involved in the new, I call it new, it's 27 years old now, the Denver International Airport.
Yeah. Well, you know, until I knew better, Brian, I thought the MAC only oversaw MSP. But I've learned that there's a lot more to the MAC than just that one big airport. Tell us what the MAC is all about.
There really is, and we're very proud of the airport system that we have. So the MAC was established way back in 1943 by the governor and the legislature. And I always say what tremendous foresight the governor and legislature had at that time to create an airports commission that could be responsible for, at the time, it was Minneapolis and St. Paul downtown airport. And since that time, we've grown into a 7-airport system. So you have Minneapolis St. Paul, which is obviously the large hub primary airport for scheduled passenger service and scheduled freight. And then we have 6 other reliever airports that really are designed to filter smaller corporate and general aviation traffic off to those so that we can have as much capacity as possible at Minneapolis St. Paul International. But we're the largest airport system operated by a single entity in the entire United States.
Well, that's impressive.
It really is, yeah.
We are very proud.
We are.
To be in that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the size of the operations. Just how big is the airport and its operations? We'll focus on MSP or the entire MAC, if you wish.
Sure, yeah. So the entire system, we have about 700,000 annual operations. So those are takeoffs and landings when I speak to operations. About half of those are at Minneapolis St. Paul, and about the other half is dispersed amongst those 6 reliever airports. From a passenger standpoint, Minneapolis is the only one that has scheduled passenger traffic. The other airports have a lot of other passengers that are related to corporate, travel, corporate jet travel or turboprop travel, or, accommodate just general aviation activity, flight training and other things that go on at those smaller airports. But when you go back to Minneapolis, right now we're rated 18th largest in the country. And we've kind of been in that range for a number of years now. So it's a very busy airport, and again, we're one of 30 large hub airports in the United States. So it's a busy place.
Well, you've brought some photos of some of the things going on at MSP, which we're going to share with our viewers. And so the first graphic or photo that we want to bring up is a list of all of the airlines that are servicing the MSP. Now, our photo will show that, but I think we've added some new ones recently. New airlines have joined or rejoined the services here.
They absolutely have. And so, when you think of Minneapolis, obviously Delta, we're Delta's second largest hub in the United States. Quite a ways behind Atlanta, their largest hub and headquarters. But Delta makes up about just shy of 70% of the traffic volume. We're also the hub to Sun Country Airlines, an airline that has been growing tremendously over the last 6 or 7 years with new leadership. Jude Bricker is their CEO, who came in 2017. And then we have 16 other airlines on top of that. So what I always like, we have the full service network carriers, the Deltas, the Uniteds, the Americans. We have low-cost carriers such as Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and we have ultra-low-cost carriers. Sun Country fits into that category, as does Spirit and Frontier. And so what's great about Minneapolis is we have what I feel is the #1 premium network carrier in Delta, and then we have a wonderful ultra-low-cost carrier in Sun Country, and then we have a lot of different airlines in between there. So if you want to travel, in first class or a premium passenger on a Delta, you can do that. If you want the cheapest airfare you can find a carrier that accommodates that as well. So you mentioned new carriers. So we've been very aggressive in going out and trying to promote additional service from other carriers, because that's good for the region. It certainly stimulates travel, and again, competition is good because it drives airfares in the right direction from a consumer standpoint. WestJet was a new carrier that came in a couple of years ago. They're a Canadian carrier. They service Edmonton, Saskatoon, and Regina. That was important service because of how big of a trade partner Canada is with Minnesota and the United States. So that was very important. And from an international perspective, Lufthansa joined the portfolio last year, a full-service international carrier based in Frankfurt, and they started service between Minneapolis and their hub in Frankfurt. The nice thing about Lufthansa is they have a tremendous connecting network at that Frankfurt hub, and it really offers true competition to all of the other European service that we have with Delta, KLM, Air France. We've got a couple of other European carriers, Iceland Air, who's been in the market 25 years, Condor, who also goes to Frankfurt. But Lufthansa was an addition that we had been working on for many years, even before my time, because of that huge network that they have across Europe, to India, to East Africa, which really serves our population base nicely.
Well, it's great to have them servicing
really is.
Our area here. So, Brian, one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about, I was looking forward to it when I invited you to come on the program, was to talk about the award-winning status that MSP has internationally.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring up a photo, a graphic that shows some of the awards that you've earned just recently. So tell us all about that, Brian.
Well, we're very proud of the awards that we've won for a number of years, but especially this year. Bill, I received an email. I saw it when I woke up on January 2nd of 2024 from the CEO of a company called Cirium. Now, Cirium is the largest company that retrieves data on airline and airport performance in the world. And the email said, "Congratulations, Mr. Ryks. Minneapolis St. Paul has been chosen as the #1 global on-time airport." That was the first time we won that award. I woke up to that, so it was a great way to start the new year off. And a tremendous achievement. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't give Delta Airlines some credit, because they were selected as the #1 North American on-time airline. So Delta is very focused on on-time performance, and we're very focused on operational performance. We spend a lot of money and resources for snow removal, and to ensure that our operation, we have everything we can do to do what we need to do to make sure the airlines stay on time as well. So it's really a testament to our staff, the airlines that operate at Minneapolis, of just the fantastic work that they do each day to focus on that. First time a North American airport has won that award since 2011, and the first time a Northern Tier airport has ever won that award. So really proud of that. A couple of weeks later, we found out that we were again selected by Airports Council International as the top Airport Service Quality Award winner. We've won that 7 out of 8 years. And a really, really nice announcement came in, I think it was September, when we were told by J.D. Power that we were the #1 mega airport in the J.D. Power customer satisfaction. And not only did we finish first, but we finished first in all 7 of their categories that they look at. So a tremendous achievement. One other award I'll mention is Travel Leisure also ranks North America airports. We were #1 in that this year too. Testament to our great employees, the 20,000 employees that work out at Minneapolis. It's really a testament to the foundational work, I think, that we all do to ensure that people coming through our facility are treated with a Minnesota nice type of a feeling. And it's all focused around helping people at every step of the journey.
Well, congratulations to you, Brian, to your team, to everyone who works at the airport, the service providers, the vendors that you do business with. They're all part that comes together to make the place work.
They are all part of it. We have a group called our Customer Service Action Committee. And to your point, it's about bringing all of our stakeholders together in a meeting once a month to talk about ways that we can constantly improve. And we just celebrated the 25th anniversary of that group this year, but it is, again, baked into our philosophy and our foundational mission of treating passengers as customers and ensuring that they'll come back and enjoy what we have to offer.
Well, I've been using the airport for 40 plus years, I guess. And every time I've been there, there's always been some kind of construction or renovation or some kind of improvement or addition going on. I know this past summer that you had a couple of the runways that were being, I don't know what the right term is, reconditioned or
reconstructed,
updated, reconstructed. And you have a similar project for the other two runways coming up later in 2025. You want to tell our viewers what to expect when that comes around?
Absolutely. And it did cause some disruption earlier in the summer, but we were constructing the intersection areas of our north parallel runway and our longest crosswind runway. And when you reconstruct the intersection areas, you've got to close both runways down for obvious reasons. That went on from June through, I think, September. And so we were down to just a couple of other runways that we were operating on. That did cause some delays because we had some really heavy winds when we got into that project early on, which further restricted and limited the operation. But we got through it. As the summer went on, the project continued to evolve and get better, and there was less disruption. Next year, we're doing some work on the south parallel runway. It's not as intrusive as this year's work, so we get the big project done this year, and so hopefully people won't even notice that it's going on.
Well, you were successful with the project this year, so I'm sure you'll be as successful for next year. But that isn't the only construction that's going on. I think there's some additions going on, G2?
Yeah, all around the airport. I'll talk about a couple of them.
So we can bring up a photo that shows what's going on with the concourse G expansion.
Yeah, G expansion has been something we've been working on for quite a while. And historically, G concourse was a pretty narrow concourse. Then it had these bump outs for the passenger seating gate areas. And what has happened over history is Delta has continued to increase the size of aircraft on G concourse, which has resulted in those areas becoming very congested. They're not large enough. There's not enough room for concessions. Restrooms are undersized. So about 3 or 4 years ago, we started really working on a plan for G. And basically what we're doing is we're in those bump out areas, we're connecting them to the next, what we call pod areas or bump out areas. So we're adding square footage. The first project was gates G17 to G22. So the furthest down G concourse you can go. We added 50,000 square feet. Again, more passenger seating, better restrooms, more concession. We also added a shell for a future Delta Sky Club on top of that end of the concourse. Delta came in and then built out a new Sky Club that they put in that shell that we constructed. A wonderful Sky Club. If you haven't been in there, I would recommend anyone that has the ability to go into one of the Sky Clubs at Minneapolis to check that out, because it is truly a signature Sky Club. This year, we started that. So we finished that a couple of years ago, and now we are working on the center part of the concourse, G8, I think, through G13. Again, connecting those pods, adding another 85,000 square feet. But if you fly out of G concourse and you walk down to that end, you'll see how transforming those new improvements are. New terrazzo, again, more concessions, updated restrooms, and just more seating areas. So it's been a very nice experience for the travelers on G. After this middle section, then we'll go back to the beginning of G and start the same project in that area. In addition, I'm going to mention one more thing to you. We are in the midst of the largest single renovation ever to 6 of our 7 concourses. And this was a project that Delta came to us first on and indicated we want to update the branding and the gate finishes of our 75 gates throughout all of those concourses. It's a $182 million project. We're partnering with Delta. Delta's putting $60 million into it as a true partner. And I think it's a testament to their wanting to be here in Minneapolis and the importance of the Minneapolis hub. And then the Airports Commission is supplying the rest of the money. It's, again, new terrazzo, updated finishes, new ceilings. So I apologize. The terminal has been a little bit, torn apart this year, but the end product, which is now finished on Concourse F, is a wonderful new product.
Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
And
Can't
to
wait
use
for it to be done, right?
Yeah. So you just bring so much interesting and informative news. There's just a lot to talk about. I want to move to the next subject. The FAA has a really significant project underway to upgrade the technology that they use here at MSP
Right.
to help the planes
Yep.
in and out. And that's in progress, but it's really going to be implemented or installed in 2025, I believe. So tell us what that's about, Brian.
Sure. So it will be active in August of 2025. At least that's the plan for now. But this is a technology upgrade called area navigation, and obviously FAA has been around for many, many years. Going back to almost the start of aviation, or after that when passenger aircraft started flying. They installed, to help aircraft navigate, they installed something called VORs, and it's a nav aid that's based on the airport that helps planes not only find the airport, but navigate as they're departing the airport as well. FAA is in the process of getting rid of all of that old technology and going to a satellite-based technology called area navigation. So to do that, they have to set up new procedures for departure aircraft that are leaving the airport. Right now, they're assigned a heading off of this navigational aid, and the pilots fly that accordingly. This new satellite-based technology will make it safer, and it will make it more efficient for the FAA to control aircraft in and out. Now, the concern is, are things going to change? Mm-hmm. And we have lobbied FAA very hard that we want them to model the existing dispersion that they currently have under the old processes. And they have committed to doing that. And so the bottom line is, when this goes into effect in August of 2025, people should not notice a difference. Furthermore, we will be able to verify that things are operating consistently with what they are today through the technology that we've had at the airport for many years that basically tracks every aircraft that arrives at or departs MSP. So it'll be something new, but at the same time, we're hopeful that it won't be new to those that live around the airport.
And not disruptive.
Exactly.
FAA has had experience in installing this new technology in other major airports, so
right.
MSP is not the first. They'll bring some experience into that process.
Absolutely. Actually, we're one of the last, because we pushed back at the FAA plan a number of years ago. They now are coming back with a new plan that will be consistent with what our goals and objectives are.
Well, one of the things, Brian, that I think has contributed to the success and recognition of MSP and your staff is your efforts to implement processes and systems and procedures for sustainability.
Right.
So let's bring up the slide, the picture of your sustainability goals, and tell us a little bit about how that's working out and what more we can expect as you continue to move in the direction of becoming more efficient and more sustainable.
Yeah, great question. Obviously a very important topic for us at MSP and our reliever airport system. But we adopted a 2030 sustainability plan that calls for an 80% reduction in emissions, a 15% reduction in water use, a 75% waste diversion reduction, and also a engagement score, how we measure how people feel about it, of 85. We've been working hand in hand now with our stakeholders, with our partners. Airlines are a big part of the equation. Our concession operators are a big part of the equation, to do whatever we can collaboratively to be responsible from a sustainability standpoint and meet those goals. Emissions are primarily related to the airline operation, a little bit for us, but when you look at the operation, the aircraft are producing the majority of the emissions. There's something called sustainable aviation fuel that we're working with Delta on to create a sustainable aviation fuel hub right here at Minneapolis. So that's important. You may have heard some things about that. There's a lot of different entities involved, including Greater Minnesota, the Economic Development Group here in the Twin Cities, the University of Minnesota, Ecolab, the U.S. Bank, and many others to really try to have Minneapolis as a sustainable aviation fuel hub. The challenge with that is there's a lot of aviation fuel that's required in order to meet those goals, and so the challenge will be bringing it up to scale. But you'll be hearing more and more about that. There's been some good announcements recently, and
I think we have a graphic about the
Oh,
sustainable
sure.
fuel.
Yeah.
If we could bring that up for our viewers to see, and you can get an idea of what's involved in this sustainability fuel project that's going on.
Yeah, so the Biden administration set a goal, a 2030 goal, that they wanted all aviation fuel to be sustainable aviation fuel, or not all of it, 10% of it to be sustainable aviation fuel by the year 2030. That's a big number. That, when you include all the airlines in the U.S., it's 3 billion gallons of aviation fuel. To put that in perspective, just 2 years ago, the amount of sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF as we call it, was 20 million gallons. So 3 billion, 20 million. So there's a long way to go. When you look at Delta, 10% of their jet fuel is about 400 million gallons. So the challenge is getting it up to scale. And so there's been some recent announcements of a facility that's going to be constructed up in the Moorhead area. There's another facility down in Laverne, Minnesota. There's been a grant awarded for a mixing facility at Flint Hills so that it can be piped into the airport. So there's a lot of different pieces in play, a lot of people working on it. And I think, Bill, as we were talking earlier, I think that the challenge, what will be interesting is to see if it continues to maintain momentum with the new administration that's coming into office, because it does require federal and state subsidies for this all to occur and for this all to happen.
It's an awesome project.
Yeah.
Brian, it seems like we're just getting started to talk about all of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and we're coming to the end of this program. I'm going to have you come back and talk about the things we didn't get to. Any final thoughts the last minute we have on the program?
Well, always a pleasure to be here, Bill. I would say, I think one of the things that we can hopefully talk about in next year or the year after is the economic impact the airport has on the entire region.
Absolutely.
Right now, about a $17 billion economic impact. There's over 20,000 jobs out there. When you look at construction jobs alone, and $1 billion worth of construction, that's on top of all of that as well. So there's a lot of exciting things going on. It's a dynamic place. There's a lot of travel going on this week for the holidays, and so it's a good place to be around, and always a pleasure to be with you and talk about what's going on at our airport system.
Brian Ryks, Executive Director, CEO of the MAC. It's been our pleasure to have you as a guest on Access to Democracy. And thank you for watching Access to Democracy. You can see more of our programs on accesstodemocracy.com.